a turning point. America will now wage war to go west. Texas is won. California fought and bought. The same month California becomes American, it becomes the nation's greatest prize. Volcanic magma. Over millions of years, in a fault zone beneath the Sierra Nevada, cooling and pressure create quartz. And within the quartz, gold. The seam is one of the densest on the planet. Rocks erode and the riches are released. (1848), carpenter James Marshall finds a 3-ounce nugget in the California River. 2 months' pay in his hand, but billions of dollars beneath his feet. News of Marshall's discovery spreads to every corner of the world. In California, you can taste the American dream. Get rich quick. Within a year, 100,000 desperate amateur prospectors flood the Sierra foothills.
It was the American dream distilled to its essence. Take yourself and go out and try and make a success of it.
A Chinese prospector's 100-ounce strike in the Yuba River. $26,000 made by a single Irishman in just 4 days. A $200,000 super seam mined by 12 Mexicans at Bear Valley. In the port of San Francisco, a plot of land worth $16 before the gold strike now changes hands for $45,000. In 2 years, the population of California explodes from 15,000 to 100,000. Now, hand panning is replaced by lines of sluice boxes, desperately combing for anything the first prospectors missed. And the price of living rockets. Picks, pans, shovels go from a few cents to $10 apiece. Breakfast costs 10 times what it does back east. But still, the people come. "200 abandoned ships in San Francisco harbor. The crews deserting, rushing for the hills. He's traveled 6,000 miles. He spent all his money. Now he travels by foot. Belgian Jean-Nicolas Ferlot writes,
"We crossed 200 miles of wilderness, full of Indians, bears, panthers, wildcats, snakes of every kind.
The first thing he finds isn't gold, it's graves. 200 of them. Prospectors cut off by rains in the foothills, starved to death.
Approaching, we realized animals of some kind had dug up the bodies. I read a note attached to one of the graves. God has willed that civilization should begin in this place with this duty which a man owes to his kind. Bury the dead."
Ferlot does find gold, but never in the quantities that he dreamed. As the gold fields are picked clean, tensions rise. Times get tougher. After just 5 years, the gold rush is over.
I think that there is that Western mentality of prospecting, try and fail, and the fact that you tried is worthy in and of itself.
Of 300,000 who rushed to find gold, less than 1 out of 100 struck it rich. But fortunes were made by the merchants and landowners who supplied the miners. From dirt and dreams came the great cities of California. Both the West and the American character that built it are settled. Now, this new powerhouse will face another revolution. October 1818. A 9-year-old boy comforts his mother as she lies on her deathbed. Milk sickness kills thousands of pioneers every year. The cause? White snake root eaten by cattle, a deadly poison passed in milk to humans. At 18, the boy becomes a man, but he has been working like a man for years, battling for existence in this harsh environment.
It was a wild region, with many bears and other wild animals still in the woods. There I grew up. I had an axe in my hand from my 8th to my 20th year.
This is the life of American settler stock. The young man's grandfather followed Daniel Boone's wilderness road into Kentucky. His father pushed further into the primeval forests of Indiana. Settler families of 10 or more live in log cabins built from scratch. Single-roomed, basic, the trailer homes of the day. The wilderness provides everything. They make their own plows, rakes, forks, shovels, build their own furniture. And they bury their dead. In bad years, malaria kills 1 in 8 of the settlers. Life expectancy is half of what it is today. But from adversity comes strength. This settler's name is Abraham. Abraham Lincoln.
If you work hard, you can do anything you want to do. The possibilities are endless. To me, that was the American dream as a kid.
Lincoln's family and thousands like theirs have settled the West in 4 generations. President Thomas Jefferson thought it would take 1,000. The forests are cleared. 5 acres a family a year. In 1800, 23 million acres of Indiana is wilderness. In 60 years, it's tamed, flat, fertile farmland. But there is more than forest to clear.
It's always been one of the deep flaws of the American imagination that it can't imagine a future for American Indian people. As Americans, American Indian people have to imagine that for themselves. And that's the hard part.
Keep walking.
1830. Frontier President Andrew Jackson declares a new policy. A policy that America will maintain for more than 100 years. The forced relocation of American tribal people onto reservations.
You keep moving.
After years of Supreme Court battles, the bill passes Congress by a single vote. Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, Seminole, Cherokee, all forced off their nations by the point of a bayonet. An episode in the conquest of the West that even some of the soldiers taking part find shameful. U.S. Army Private John G. Burnett writes,
"The sufferings of the Cherokee were awful. The trail of the exiles was a trail of death. They slept in the wagons and on the ground without fire. I saw as many as 20 die in a single night of pneumonia, cold, exposure."
Move along. Move along.
the march of 1,000 miles becomes a trail of tears.
It's a shameful act in American history, and it's in its own way sort of an iconic act because it really symbolizes what happened to the Native Americans.
The West is open for business, but key to the transformation of the region is a river 2,000 miles in length, fed by rainfall from 31 states. Running from Minnesota to New Orleans, the mighty Mississippi. It's a lifeline, connecting the West to the outside world. If roads exist, they're muddy tracks. This is the only trade artery, the interstate, that allows the pioneers and settlers to sell the produce they've sweated over.
A huge amount of goods are shipped out, but they're shipped out in this most nickel and dime way. A farmer will build a flatboat, fill it up with hogs, sassafras root, ginseng root, tobacco, whatever it is you grow, put it on the flatboat, use the power of the Mississippi to drift you down to sell them along the riverbank.
Age 19, Abraham Lincoln makes his first trip down the Mississippi, poling his simple raft. The current is too strong to return upstream. The primitive flatboats are simply sold as lumber in New Orleans. Farmers have to walk the 800 miles home and begin again. But on that first journey, Lincoln sees the future. A new invention which will transform the Mississippi, the Midwest, and America.
The steamboat was the 19th century's time machine, just as surely as the airplane was the 20th century's time machine. It shrunk distance. By shrinking distance, it enabled commerce.
Even upstream, steamboats can travel 50 miles a day, 8 times faster, 8 times the cargo of a raft. But they're deadly. Over half the early models explode, maiming and killing hundreds.